This detail completely changes how we look at the New York Rangers this upcoming season, as one thing in particular will have a serious impact on how this team looks and how this team performs, and Chris Drury's vision for this team as they look to compete once again and make the playoffs after a disappointing last season. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest and how the New York Rangers, with this one thing, can become a competitive team once again. Before we get into all of that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button, as about 77% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the New York Rangers, go down below, hit that free subscribe button, because this channel is built for blue shirt fandom, and this is the place to be for all your daily New York Rangers content. Obviously, the season is quickly approaching, and we're going to have you covered here on the channel for everything. Brett will be back in our next video, but exciting times, and we're finally starting to talk about how this team will look different and the little minute details about how certain players will be deployed. And that's what we're going to talk about today, and how one player will have a serious impact and almost like a domino effect on the rest of the team. And it's one guy that we've barely touched on all offseason, but he was re-signed by the New York Rangers after being acquired at the trade deadline in return for Ryan Lindgren from the Colorado Avalanche. And that, of course, is Juuso Parssinen. And I believe that he is being penciled in as the third line center this season for the New York Rangers. There's been a lot of question marks about who is going to play third line center for this team. You look at the JFresh chart, some of the numbers not very encouraging, especially advanced analytics when you're looking at the advanced analytics. But there are some things we're going to get to. I'm just going to tease you here a little bit. We're going to get to throughout the episode that do suggest that this could be the answer at third line center to open up some of the other lines, including that second line with Will Cooley, JT Miller, and Mika Zibanejad that's pictured here on Puckpedia. We don't know if that's exactly what that line's going to look like, but we do know that Mike Sullivan has come out and said he wants Mika Zibanejad and JT Miller together to start. So obviously somebody has to play third line center if Mika's playing wing, which he should be, by the way. We talked about that ad nauseum. But obviously with Juuso Parssinen, this is a breakdown from Forever Blue Shirts just a little while ago, and how risky it is for the Rangers to rely on him. Because again, if you're looking at some of the analytics, not great, and even his point production, we'll get to that in a second too, but from NYR Louis, I am probably slightly higher on Juuso Parssinen than most other Rangers fans. I don't think he's a great third line center, but I do think he'll be fine with decent upside. I do believe, honestly, personally, that there's a lot of upside here with this player. We did not see anything that he is capable of last season. Very small sample size as a New York Rangers so far. We have seen nothing yet from this player. He actually put together some really solid seasons when he was with the Nashville Predators, and the stats don't jump off the page at you, but he's a third line center, and if he puts up a decent point production, is responsible defensively, that's exactly what this team needs. You have a solidified fourth line now. If you have Cooley, Miller, and Zibanejad playing, that's a good line. We know that. We've looked at the analytics. That first line, we don't know what it's going to look like. Lafreniere's a wild card. If you can solidify your third line center spot, this team is looking really good heading into next season. As you can see here, when he was with the Nashville Predators, nothing crazy. Obviously, last season, he had 15 with Nashville, just specifically because obviously he was traded to Colorado and then the New York Rangers. I'm going to talk about that in a second as well. He had 5 points in 15 games. Then with obviously Colorado, he had 6 points in 22 games. If you look at a couple seasons ago, his first NHL season, pretty good point production, half a point a game player. That's really good. If you can get 40 points out of this guy on the third line, that's very good. I'm not saying that's going to happen. It probably won't happen, but even if you get 30 to 35 and he's responsible defensively, we know where the scoring, in theory, should come from this team, and it's the top lines. It's guys like Mika who have to put up at least 80 points next season, or else it's looking like a bit of a disaster. Obviously JT, I'm expecting him to get close to 100, if not 100. So we know the point production is going to come from there. If he can at least chip in, Rangers are looking pretty good. Obviously with Brett Berard possibly being on the left side as well. But again, he went through 3 different teams last year, right? Obviously being traded to Colorado and New York. Not a great situation in New York, right? That's no surprise. Like, nobody's blind to that. Last season was not good for the New York Rangers. So when you're looking at that and his point production from last year, again, small sample size with the New York Rangers, only played 11 games, had 5 points. I thought he looked decent in those games, but hard to kind of get acclimated with only 11 games played and so much weird stuff going on in terms of who's in and out of the lineup because of what Peter Laviolette was trying to salvage at the end. He couldn't learn the system on time, obviously. The system was broken, let's be honest about that. Like, everything that was deployed last year besides the penalty kill was god awful. So, coming into this year, Mike Sullivan, new coaching staff, I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do, because I think he's going to actually... he's actually going to be pretty good. Now, a couple things to keep in mind. This is from the original article from Blue Shirts Forever that I linked here, and I will link it in the description as well. Though the Rangers were actually outscored, opponents 5-4 when Parssinen was on the ice at 5-on-5, which is another interesting thing, because if they can fix the power play, next in line is definitely the 5-on-5 play, which wasn't so bad when Parssinen was on the ice, all things considered. His metrics in those 11 games were actually abysmal. So again, the advanced analytics don't necessarily support him that well. But again, I might chalk it up to the fact that he wasn't playing in his natural position. He was playing with different line mates almost all the time, I feel like, with the Rangers, and he didn't play enough. And how do you learn a system and a broken system? I just don't think he was given a fair shake, I think. So the Rangers were terribly outchanced, 77-21, and Parssinen posted an embarrassing 29% expected goal share per natural stat trick. So not great analytics. He's also not great, by the way, in the face-off dot. So we have to keep that in mind too. Again, the yin and the yang. I do think there's a lot of upside there, and that he can produce and he can be a good third line center, a serviceable third line center. Is he an elite third line center or a great one? No, he can be a serviceable one for this team, but he's got to work on the face-offs. He's got to get better in the dot as well. Some of his points, again, from his rookie season and even his second season are very encouraging. But if this does not work out, because let's keep in mind, and let's not forget, he was signed to a contract extension this summer, a 2-year contract extension. He's making over $1 million. He's excited to be a New York Ranger, right? We know that. A lot of people think that he has high upside, but ultimately, I do think that it has to work out, because if you're looking at, if it doesn't work out, you're going to have to move Sam Carrick up. That messes up your fourth line. We know that the fourth line should be, in theory, solidified, and we know what they're all about. You don't want Sam Carrick to have to move up, because then who's playing fourth line center, right? Maybe a rookie like Noah Laba, right? There could be a couple other guys. Obviously, Robrick, who's down in the AHL as well. I would keep him down there for a little bit longer, because he looks like he's going to be a really good player. These are some of his other advanced analytics, including expected goals per 60 minutes, goals per 60 minutes, assists per 60 minutes, and his points per 60 minutes, which in theory wasn't that bad. But again, small sample size. Like I mentioned, he was signed this summer to a contract extension, a 2-year contract extension. So clearly they think something's there. He's a big body too, 6'3". Didn't even mention that up the middle, so that helps. $1.25 million. He also spoke out on signing this contract extension. He said, "It feels good. I'm really happy about staying there, especially for 2 years. Coming to the tournament, in a way, it's a relief to get it done before." This was when he was at the World Hockey Championships. So obviously he was overseas competing in that. And then obviously somebody asked him about resigning with the New York Rangers. And again, if you look at his stats from last season, nothing crazy, but listen, 6'3", he's got some size up the middle. There is some upside there. He's only 24 years old. And if you give him a fair shake and a system that we're hoping works, because we don't know if it's going to work yet until it's, on the ice with these, with this group of players, in theory, it should work out. So I'm, leaving room to be excited for Juuso Parssinen. And the one thing here, though, is I do believe it could work out, and I do believe it's going to be a good option, and they clearly have faith in him. They gave him the contract extension, the 2 years, the over $100 million, right? If it doesn't work out, that's tough. You're going to have to move Sam Carrick up. Somebody's going to have to go fourth line center, or Sam Carrick does stay there, but then somebody's going to have to take on the task of playing third line center, probably a younger player, probably a rookie. That's not easy. So it's got to have to work out here. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do. Let me know in the comments how you feel about Juuso Parssinen. Is he the answer at third line center? If he isn't, again, I think that it gets very interesting and a little complicated, possibly even a little tricky for the New York Rangers in terms of how do you deploy the rest of the lineup. So some interesting quotes. We'll see how the lineup looks. I have to be honest, Puckpedia had it a little all over the place all summer. They just recently updated all their lines. I think this is extremely close to what we're going to see. To what we're going to see, if it was me making the lines, Probably wouldn't have Susie there, but I know Susie's going to be in the lineup because Chris Drury wants to eventually move him. But let me know how you feel about everything we discussed on Juuso Parssinen today in the comments. The conversation always continues there. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.